Great job, you made it. So happy you could join us. In this vast journey we call life, there's a lot to talk about. So on our podcasts, you can expect to hear anything from sports, adventures, love stories, all the way to outer space. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of our podcast. I'm Georgio, this is Jack. Jack, what are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're thinking about talking about stuff we're thankful for, sort of good things that's happened in our lives, maybe something that you can relate to, and most likely going to go off on a tangent and talk about the most random stuff. So it's sort of just a little bit of an upbeat episode today.
Highlights, gratitude, life moments, stories, and basically just opening up about ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
And yeah, cool. So let's start off with some questions actually.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'd like to ask you sort of, what's one pinnacle moment in your life in which you're like so thankful that happened?
You know what, it's a little bit weird actually. It's getting quite deep already because mainly the only girlfriend I've ever really had is one I'm sort of with now. Obviously I don't think you class like year 6 girlfriends and stuff as an actual relationship really, but I started seeing a girl in secondary school, went to the same school as me.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same sort of relationship you have as teenagers, really, just
Yeah.
with each other for just sake of saying you're with someone. Like, got along all right at the time and everything, but nothing amazingly special. Like, it was just a basic.
You was a teenager, you had a girlfriend,
basic secondary school like relationship kind of thing, and that's how I, funnily enough, met my fiance at the moment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So this wasn't your fiance?
No, this wasn't.
Okay,
this wasn't, and it was. It sounds like I was being well out of order, like looking at that. But honestly, I didn't look at her this way at the time. I've even said it to her. I didn't look at you like that.
Was it her best mate?
Yeah, I wouldn't say best mate. It was her neighbour, and they were close.
Okay.
They were close enough to be close mates. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they still text every day. Not now, but they did text every day.
Yeah.
God, I sound like I've broken up friendship.
They did text every day, now they don't now.
Yeah.
Well, you got a fiance out of it.
Well, so at the time, we met up and it was a good laugh. It was the first time I ever met the girlfriend I was with at the time outside of school. Her mum was really strict.
Right.
Never let me sort of see her outside school.
Yeah.
And
didn't want to let Jack near her. Like.
yeah, but I wasn't horrible. I was like,
yeah, but you're a boy. And
yeah, but I was.
Mothers don't want their daughters near people like Jack.
Yeah, but I wasn't even like proper. I barely had a girlfriend. Like, I was proper like reserved and stuff. Like, well, especially with like girls and stuff in secondary school. But yeah, so
you might look all sweet and innocent. But
I have not. I don't think I have a bad bone in my body about it. I've been raised by women. There's no way I'm getting away with treating a woman bad. I'll get beaten.
Not like that, but you know.
Yeah. but yeah,
nothing
so
bad, but yeah.
Being a teenager still,
yeah,
but
exactly, yeah.
yeah. So it was the first time we met up, and it was a laugh. We went over our local park, which was Central Park in Harold Hill.
Yeah.
God, I said that so common, and Harold Hill. Harold Hill.
I had a Central Park in Dagenham, same sort of thing.
Yeah. So we sort of met over there, and Chelsea, her name is my fiance now, giving me a bit of a hard time because I was with her friend and everything like that.
Yeah.
And didn't really think about it much. And then I think a month went by, and we ended up just breaking up because it fizzled out because we're kids, and it doesn't really.
Yeah.
You're not really interested in anything like that, really.
Yeah.
And the first time I started actually talking to my fiance was her having a go at me. Over BBM. Do you remember BBM?
Yeah, I remember BBM.
Yeah, over BBM.
What was she having a go at you about?
That I broke up with her friend, and I was horrible. And
really?
Yeah, but it was kind of civil. I was just like, look, like we don't get on that well. We barely ever really like spend much time together anymore.
Yeah.
It ain't really like worth it. I'd rather spend time with my mates. She would rather spend time with hers. Like kind of.
Yeah.
Back and forth. We came to a mutual kind of understanding. Like we both weren't like chuffed with it, but it was what it was.
Yeah, sometimes things just aren't meant to be.
Yeah, I was also 14, so the commitment ain't really there. But she sent me horrible text messages going like, "You're out of order. I can't believe you done this." And I was like, "Well, hold up. Like, listen to it from my point of view." Said it from mine, and she was like, "Yeah, she is like that a little bit. I remember her. She is like that." Like in arguments and like she's this type of person to actually do this and say this, so it adds up. Like you sort of find out the two sides of the story and then you get the truth kind of thing. And eventually we just carried on talking just because she was proper funny. Like she was hilarious. Proper my humour, like a bit dark.
Yeah.
Always taking the piss out of people. Always do it. I do it to myself. I'm a nightmare to myself. But yeah, so we just got along, and then after about 2 weeks.
So how old were you? Like 2 weeks after you?
Not after we stopped talking to. So her name was Susanna, the girl I was going out with. It was probably about a month before I even started like talking to her, as if I wanted to go out with her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then after about 2 weeks talking to her, I was like, I'd actually like to meet up with her and maybe go out and everything. So I asked her out, and she rejected me like 3 times. Like I was like, everything out in the open. Like, I really like you.
Heart on your sleeve.
Yeah, just like, why not? Just chuck it all out there. And then she shot me down 3 times. The first time was because she didn't know me enough, which I can't get as 2 weeks. And then the second time was, it wasn't in person. And then the third time was, I think it still wasn't in person, but I didn't get the message apparently. I think that's how it was. And then the fourth time, met up with her, asked her out, and then, yeah, so far the rest is history at the moment.
So
yeah.
you was 14, and you're now 22.
Yes.
And when did you pop the question?
Last year. So the idea was, in an ideal world, moving together, because we lived at opposite ends of the M25. So I lived in High Wycombe, Slough kind of area. Moving out with family. I used to live down this way, so lived in Harold Hill.
Yeah.
That's how we sort of met, obviously, because I was about probably 10 minutes away from her, which was lovely. And then moved away. That was a bit of a struggle, to be fair.
Yeah.
Moving away. But the idea was moving together in a house, preferably, not renting. But you don't realise what the real world's like. So I was like, right, let's rent.
Really
And then and I was like, you know what? We didn't even move out at this point. I moved out in August, and I proposed a few months before that. And
that's nice. So you proposed before you moved in together, and you moved in together as an engaged couple.
Yeah, it was really. Yeah. I'm kind of glad we done it that way around, because it was like, right, this. Not that it wasn't serious. I mean, we were together for so long. It was obviously really serious, but it just gave that little bit of a ice on the cake kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just a new chapter, so it's almost like, well, we're now engaged. We're an engaged couple, and it's new and exciting. And then it was like almost spurred us on to move out, and for me to get a job down this way, and for everything to sort. It sped the process of me getting out of living with family.
It's like you became an adult through this process. You know, you asked this huge, like, commitment of her, and then you moved in together, and it sounds like everything happened really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely happened quick in a sense of what actually developed and us moving out together. Very quick. But we had the idea of, we knew we were moving out together. We knew we was going to get engaged at some point. I knew I wanted to move out after, but I kept the lie going that I wanted to move out first, so she wouldn't have a clue if and when I popped the question.
Okay.
But
right.
But yeah, that was actually quite a funny story, actually.
Yeah.
The engagement. So I'm terrible in public, like no affection, barely holding hands in public, like really reserved, to be fair, in public. And I was like, I'm not doing it in front of people. But even though, like, not being cocky, but she was like, I would never say no. Before that, like, we was talking about like what type of ring.
So you already had a good idea.
Like, I knew she was going to say yes, and not sounding big-headed, but she said it. And then knew the ring was.
Been together a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So that sort of gave it a few like kicks up the backside a little bit, and I knew what ring she would want, so I wasn't really nervous about that, which was quite nice. But so I was like, right, we're in Cornwall at the time. We're away with her family.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm doing it away from everyone. No way I'm doing it on a public beach. There's no way I'm doing it as we're walking on the side of a bloody mountain or whatever. Like, there's no way I'm doing it in public. So I'm on Google the week before I'm going away, like searching like places out in the sticks in Cornwall. Like, just I'm even like going on Google Maps and just zooming into places, and like that looks like a place that no one would go to. And like took absolutely ages, and then never found anywhere, which was really annoying. I've said to my missus whilst we're there, I was like, let's do a date, just me and you, where we just both go out and don't really bring anyone. I was like, I want it to be a little bit of a holiday for us. I tried to blag it a little bit, and she was like, oh, the Strangles is really nice in Cornwall. It's like a real backwards way to get to this beach, and then to get to the beach you've got to walk down this like cliffside kind of thing,
like zigzag stairs.
And then at the very end, like where the stairs drop off, probably about double this unit here, you got to sort of rope it down a little bit, so there's broken steps with a
really?
big thick bit of rope to get down to it. So I was like, that's
I've
perfect.
never been to Cornwall. I'd love to go.
It's
and
so
I've been
good.
planning to go for ages, but I've just never been.
It's really so. I would probably say Cornwall. You could do about maybe 10 to 14 days in Cornwall and do something different every day. Go to another place that's just as beautiful as the last.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Scotland is brilliant for roads, for driving in open roads.
Scotland too.
Scotland's brilliant.
Yeah. I went to Devon for a boxing match, and I had a fight in a cattle market.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
I've been to Devon when I was younger, and that is literally is it.
It was like a cattle market, and then it was the Royal Jubilee as well. Something like 2012, so it was like that Jubilee. I can't remember which one it was. So there was like England flags everywhere, and it was like a proper just crazy environment, you know, where they
it must have felt like proper formal, like you going into like flags everywhere and all this stuff.
It was crazy. It was kind of like an arena the way they made it, and it was really cool. Yeah, I really liked it.
With loads of people probably standing around because of everything going out, like in the public and everything.
Probably one of my best performances as well.
Oh really?
Cool. Yeah.
That's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And
so I went to Devon, but I never went any further south than that.
Oh, fair enough. No, but that must have given you a little bit of an atmosphere though, like.
Yeah, it was.
Give you a little bit of like how professional fighting might have even been a little bit.
It wasn't quite that big, but it was just it was like it was a lot, like quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
And most like usually when you have something like that, it's usually in a sports hall, like amateur and stuff like that. But there, being in a cattle market, it was like outside. It was a little bit cold, and you had flags everywhere, and it was just somewhere different, somewhere you'd never like expect to be.
But you rose to the occasion and done well. Yeah. What happened in the fight then?
I want to carry on and talk about you.
I just want to get away from
it. So I don't want to sidetrack. No. So you're in Cornwall. You're thinking about the big question, and you get into the bottom of these zigzag stairs. You have to take a rope to get to the bottom where the beach is. Yeah,
that was kind of fun trying to get the missus down there. She's not. To be fair, credit where credit's due. She does like a long old walk, especially if we go away. Yeah. But she was struggling trying to get down the stairs and everything. But eventually, we got down. It wasn't dead. It wasn't like completely silent. There was a family right off in the left, and a few odds and sods of people died about, but enough distance to make me go right. I'm comfortable to if I was to do it. Yeah. And
it's like your own little space. You're in public, but there's not too many people around.
Yeah, like I could hide behind something so they couldn't see and no one would see it.
And then climb up the rope and run up the stairs.
Like a child, like back when I'm 14. But there was a nice little alcove bit. So right off in the distance, sort of where just erosion's just taking the side of the mountain off, there was a nice little opening. I was like, that is perfect. No one will see me there, and it looks brilliant. So off we went. And she was like, I've been here before. The tide comes in. You cannot get back from going out there. She was like, the tide's due in the next 15 minutes.
So you'd have to swim if you didn't.
Yeah, if we missed it, we would have to swim back. And I hate swimming in the ocean. Like, petrified of it.
Really?
Yeah, like
I love it.
I'm an absolute child when it comes to swimming. Really? Like, I can swim in a normal pool, like, absolutely no problem. But swimming in the ocean, just so many, like...
A lot of people say that, and I think it's because of, like, things live in it and it changes and it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, like, I just don't trust myself not being able to swim against the current.
Yeah,
I know that there's
like stories about that.
Yeah, I know you like swim diagonally across here and all that stuff, but I know I wouldn't think in the moment. In the moment, I'll panic and I'll be gone. I'll be floating off, and you'll see me in like Iceland or something.
But you didn't get
or the other side of England.
You didn't get stuck though.
It was all. Well, this is the funny bit of the story. Yeah. So, as we're walking across.
Alright, cool. Yeah, yep. Sorry about that.
Technical problems, it's fine. Go back to it.
You pressed a button, but we're good to go. Right.
But yeah, so as we're walking through, we're hearing noises from the top of the cliff, and we're like, flipping, and they were loud, like cracks almost as if like echoing, cracking noises. I was like, what is that? And as we looked up, the cliff starts like dropping a little bit, like a few things start falling off, and then just a big bit drops. And just falls on the floor, and then rocks, not nowhere near us, like, I'm not saying, we almost died, but rocks just sort of came and started sweeping where we were going to be walking. I was like, right, and my missus turned and went, don't think we should walk, and I went, no, we'll be alright, we'll be fine, let's go. So, and I genuinely went, no, we'll be fine, it's alright, and we started carrying on walking, and then a bit more dropped, and then the tide was coming in. I was like, I'm going to have to do it.
So you're essentially part of a landslide in which, you know, the cliff is crumbling in front of you,
and I'm telling her to walk towards it. I'm still telling her.
That's a high stress situation. Like.
And I'm still going, yep, danger, go,
Yeah.
go, quickly, we can make it back, it's fine. Like, not thinking, really. And this is exactly why I don't want to be stuck out in the ocean, because I do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And, so she's gone, no, we can't. So I was like, right, okay, let's start walking back. And we're on big boulder kind of things. Obviously, like I said, the cliff's dropping, so there's big old rocks we're standing on. And I just went, froze up. I'll skip all the lovey-dovey stupid stuff, because it was cringy as fuck.
No, I want to know.
I didn't say what you think I would have said.
What
Like,
did
it
you
was
say?
just like,
how did you do it?
should I propose? And she was like,
No.
what do you mean? Like, I had the ring out and everything. Like, I asked her, will you marry me?
Yeah.
And then I was like, do I get down on one knee now? And she was like, you should have done it to begin with. And I was
Oh
like,
my
all right,
God.
my bad. And
Chelsea,
then done
I'm
it.
so sorry.
Oh, she loves it. She wouldn't be with me if she didn't like it. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, I'm socially awkward.
So you got the ring out and you went, so should I propose?
No,
And
so
then you
I've
went,
asked
so
the
should
question.
I get on
I
one
pulled
knee,
the
like-
ring out and I was like, will you marry me? And I was sort of
Okay,
half-assed,
right, so
sort
asked-
of,
yeah,
sort of
you asked the
half-assed, and I kind of covered it with, I don't want to get my knees too dirty because I was wearing like grey joggers.
So you
Because
done
they were
like
on
a
moss
bow,
rock.
like-
Yeah, kind of. It was really weird. I'm really weird. I'm a socially awkward, really weird person. And yeah, and then
That's really cute though. That is-
well, yeah,
yeah.
well, I'm just an idiot. So I've eventually like sorted it all out, said yes, and gave her the ring and put everything. I had a little backpack on, so I put everything back in the backpack. And,
Yeah.
and as we looked round, just turning to walk back, there's a naked geezer right on the
No.
open. We're on a nude beach, and I've proposed her on a
way.
nude beach. Yeah, so if you Google the Strangles, there's no laws about you can't be naked on it. So
That is so jokes.
yeah, that is literally me in a nutshell, not thinking through stuff.
Yeah, but she took you. She went, oh, I know this nice place.
But I don't think she realised I was
She
going to
didn't-
propose.
no,
Yeah, so that is
yeah.
literally me to a T. Is
That's so funny.
yeah, absolutely stupid.
That's amazing. That is like the best proposal story I've heard because it's got so many twists and turns. Like
It was proper like
Yeah.
whilst I was doing it,
I
I was
wasn't
like,
expecting that.
nah, this.
I was not expecting
Nah.
the nude beach at the end. Like,
Oh, that was honestly thinking back now. I was like, I'm so happy it happened because like everything in my life, I want it to be a joke. Like
yeah.
even if
yeah.
something bloody dire happens, I want to make a joke out of it. It's
Be
a
able
way to
laugh
be.
about it,
Yeah,
have some fun with it.
yeah. Dark humour is the best humour because if you can't laugh at something, it's one. So.
Yeah.
But I always want like a little bit of a funny story to, and that's just the ice on the cake. Like,
Yeah, that's
literally, it was so comical because she was crying a bit. I was trying not to cry because I'm like, yeah, you're the man, don't cry and everything like that. And then as we've turned, we've both just realised what we've done,
Yeah.
proposing on a nude beach, and there's a geezer there. It was flipping cold as well, so we're kind of laughing at him a little bit because it's freezing, and obviously you know what happens when you're cold, naked. And I was like, this is just perfect.
You got this naked guy in front of you, like with
Yeah.
a frozen scrotum.
Yeah, exactly. And we've gone, and I didn't tell my Mrs. parents.
Yeah.
And because I'm terrified of her mum, and her dad's a bit like.
They're gonna be watching this.
Yeah,
aren't they?
they're fine. She knows I'm terrified of her, and he
Yeah.
knows that he's. Like, I don't know how to put it. It's just he doesn't take anything too serious. So if I was to ask him, I feel like he'll be awkward back to me, kind of thing. So I was like,
He'll
right.
just throw a joke back at you like he won't.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
He'll just go, yeah, what? Oh, yeah, do it. That's fine. Yep,
Yeah,
go on
yeah.
in. And her mum would be like, yeah, how you doing? I know she would have been so supportive. She would have
Yeah,
she
you
would have
do.
loved it. But I was so nervous about asking just because it's so awkward.
Mm.
Like, and so I didn't even ask. So we'd gone back and
That's
then
so
just
funny.
showed her mum the ring, and she was like, wait, what? When did this happen? And I was like,
Yeah.
today.
You're supposed to ask me first. Like,
Well, I was hoping she wasn't going to say it, so I've gone back cacking it, sweating, like
Yeah.
face dripping with sweat, thinking, please don't have a go at me because I didn't tell you. So I've gone back just going, please don't say anything, please don't say anything, like her mum.
Yeah.
And luckily she didn't. She just went, oh, that's brilliant. Well, let's go out for dinner tonight. And we was like, sweet, all right.
Yeah.
Pay.
Oh, that's a nice way to
Got
end it,
treated to a
yeah.
nice dinner. It was lovely. Didn't even get engaged. We just said we did, so we got a free dinner. Just it wasn't even an expensive ring. It was 50 quid. No. But no, it was good, and it made the holiday like that much more special as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. You'll never forget that now. That's like everyone will remember it as the time you got engaged. You went out and celebrated. You got
Yeah.
this memorable story. Like.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad it happened the way it did. But yeah, and what I was going to say is as well, with obviously going away and making it so memorable, it's quite nice in a sense like the date's fixated. And also it's quite nice because it's quite far away from all of the other you know what I mean? Like if you have birthdays and everything that's so close together, you're like almost running out of ideas for presents. You're kind of not. It's almost a bit awkward. Like my missus' birthday is on Friday coming up, so the 28th. If obviously we're putting this out a few weeks back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like because Christmas is so close to her birthday, I'm like ragging my brain for ideas what to get her for her birthday because I've bought them all for Christmas. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's quite a different. So now
really
it's in the
funny.
middle.
We have a similar thing. So my girlfriend's birthday is on the 24th.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So like Christmas is just before, and it's like you know. But
you know the struggle. It's bloody difficult, man. Like it really is. What did you end up getting your missus for her birthday then?
We had a weekend away. It was really nice.
Oh, of course,
We went up London. We stayed in a really nice hotel called the Leonardo Hotel outside of like Fenchurch Street station.
Nice.
We had a nice view of the Shard. We could pretty much see everything from our room, which was really nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even left for that reason.
Yeah. It was amazing. Like we don't really. I think at that time we just really needed a weekend away anyway, so it was just perfect timing to do something like that. It was her birthday. We needed a break. We was both like working really, really hard, and then we had a weekend away. So we went up there ended up going on the Saturday, but we had Friday off just to chill.
Yeah.
And prepare for it. And then on the Saturday, trying to think of what we did because we actually did so much. Right? Because London is just you can just get lost in it, you know.
Yeah, definitely, man.
But we went to a restaurant on the Saturday called Mi Scusi, which is like an Italian. It's a new chain. It's just opened up, and the original restaurant is in Milan. So the guys who've brought it over here, they're like proper Italians. It's not like a Ask Italian or a Ciao Bella. It's like Italian, legit, like what you would get in Italy. And
that's nice.
Oh mate, we had this pasta, and I forget the name of it. I'm terrible with names. It was like tricolore something, but it had like burrata with pistachio cream, with all the things you wouldn't think to put on pasta.
Yeah, and it just worked.
Oh mate, it just melted in your mouth. And we had free wine. Like they introduced us with free red wine, so straight away everyone the wine, and I got like I was drunk by the time I left that table. Like I was drunk, I could barely stand up. Like I was full, I was drunk, was happy, and we had a good time. It was nice. And we ended up in this bar. I forget the name of it. It was in Covent Garden, and it was just this tiny little bar. Like usually you need membership to get in, but I managed to talk to the lady on the door. Like, look, it's her birthday. Can we just, we're not from around here. She's like, cool, I'll put you on my guest pass. So we're in there.
Oh, result.
And the barman was hilarious. Like,
I think I saw that on your story.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Did, yeah.
It was so
it looked
funny.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It was just. Oh mate, he had all the moves. Like he was shaking cocktails and everything. And they had these lamps that would just swing. So like they literally put reinforced harnesses on the lamps so that they could swing them about.
Oh, right.
And they were just swinging these lamps, and the lamps were all going all over the place, and the guy's all like that with his hands.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And then we're talking to like random people, and like a syringe shot of something.
Of something.
I don't even know.
Don't know what was in it, but drank it.
It was hilarious. Yeah, we had the best night, and went home. And we got McDonald's. I mean, usual 20 nuggets. That's what you get.
Yeah.
When you're drunk and to eat.
It could be worse. You could have got like a proper like full-on kebab. Yeah. And then woke up the next day feeling horrendous, but not feeling like you made the wrong mistake. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But we had like full-on McDonald's, and it went down a treat. And then the next day, kind of woke up fairly late, skipped breakfast, but we had a massage booked in for the next day at the spa. So then we went in there, had a massage. Well, she had a massage. I went to the gym because I was like, I need a massage. I get my massages from my main man, Ali. I'm going to give him a shout out now. He's my sports therapist. So I was in there training with a hangover, sweating it out.
Oh, lovely.
I didn't really sweat too much. It was more of a weight session. I was taking it real easy on myself. And then
from a sensitive night, difficult night
I
before.
just had a light arm session. I was like, if I just do that,
I should be all right. There's not much movement in the belly, so you're not going to be sick.
I'm gonna jump around.
Yeah.
And then she come out the massage spa. Is that what you call it? Massage parlour.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Come out the spa, and then we went into the swimming area. Had a steam sauna, chilled out. It's lovely.
That would have been perfect for a hangover.
Yeah.
Sauna and steam room is like.
But I actually,
ace.
when I'm in a sauna, I really go for it, and people think I'm mad. So like, I'll get in
stand
there,
as long as you can.
I'll do like breathing techniques. I'll put my head in my lap.
Oh,
so I get
yeah.
head rush and all that kind of stuff. I'm like really going for it, and people think I'm about to pass out. Like, people start leaving. Like, what's he doing? But I just love that feeling of like getting. I don't know. I just
Head rush kind of thing.
Head rush. Yeah, I'm a bit weird like that. So yeah, using the sauna as like a time to just like focus on meditation, but in a way where I've like heightened my senses.
Yeah.
And I kind of do that through head rush basically, and I was like in the zone. Like I couldn't see around me.
Sounds like I know obviously steam room and everything like breathing techniques a bit different, but it sounds like a bit like ayahuasca. Yoga, I think it's called.
No, not ayahuasca.
No, what am I thinking
Ayahuasca is like a drug where you go mental for like.
What? No, because I think it's called something like that because it gives you the same feeling as the drug does or something like that. I can't remember what type of yoga it is.
Kundalini yoga.
Yeah,
Kundalini.
something like that.
It is like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like real like intense breathing plus you're getting in these different positions to enhance that feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and my girlfriend left. Like,
She
was like,
not associating
what,
that.
like, well, to be fair, I kind of waited till she left because I knew I was going to be in there for a while. So it was like,
Yeah.
she left after like 5 minutes, and I was in there for another 15, just doing my thing.
Ooh. I was gonna say that's like don't get me wrong, it's perfect for like just making yourself feel a bit better,
Yeah.
but it is like the perfect hangover cure for the sense of working the alcohol off because going in sauna and steam, you still burn calories, so you're probably burning off from the night before.
I didn't even have a proper hangover, to be
You're
fair.
not?
Like, I had a subtle hangover, but I was alright. Like, I don't know, I was fine. But
How do you normally recover from hangovers then? If you have a proper hangover.
proper hangover,
I mean, like in bed, sunglasses on.
Well, usually when I get in, I down water because I don't like having hangovers. So straight away, I'll just down a pint of water, and then the next day I don't feel so bad. I think mainly like hangovers are caused by dehydration and lack of basically whatever. So the next day I didn't feel too bad because I downed some water and had food. So I was like, I wasn't dying inside sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that evening, so on the Sunday, we ordered like the Real Greek.
Oh right, I don't think I've been.
I'd never had it before, but it's really good.
Is it?
Really good. I forget the name of the wrap we had. It's like a Greek name. I keep saying these things like I don't know what I'm talking about. But
I promise it happened.
This thing from this place, and
I promise it did
was
happen,
really good. But yeah, we went to we got the takeaway from the Real Greek, so we were like chilling in the hotel room before we went out. And then the highlight of the weekend was went to Georgio's, which I'd never been before. She'd never been before.
I've heard of it before.
This is like a steak restaurant.
Yeah.
Really nice, really fancy.
Was that in whereabouts was that?
That isn't the highlight, but we went to Tower Bridge.
Oh right, yep.
And because it was just across the road from the hotel, so we went Georgio's, and then the highlight was the Shard.
Shard is amazing.
Yeah.
Shard is brilliant.
Yeah. The good thing about the Shard is you don't actually have to pay to go in. You can just go to the bar. You just have to make a reservation.
Yeah.
But the drinks are expensive and there's a £25 minimum fee. So it's like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll just go there, have a good time. I spent way more than £25.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, like I think I wanted 2 more drinks than I probably should have had. But when you're drunk and you've had a few drinks, you don't really care. You're just tapping away.
Yeah, and it's so easy to tap.
It's so easy to do that. Yeah, but the view, oh my god! Like when we got to the top.
Did you go to the very top or?
Well, the bar is the 31st floor.
Yeah, so it's like 2 floors off the top or whatever it is, isn't it?
It's not too far off the
No,
roof,
it's not.
basically.
It's not. You're not. Yeah. To be fair, I wish I'd done
Yeah.
exactly that. But sorry, go on, mate.
No, mate, we was just gobsmacked. Like she was in awe. Like she wanted to cry because it was just so nice and the way the city was lit up and where our seats were positioned.
It just looked. Yeah, perfect.
It was right by the window.
Yeah.
You see the entire skyline, like everything. And it was beautiful. It was one of our nicest memories.
That's
really
so good.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's so recent as well when you already know it.
Like literally this weekend just gone. So just come back from it, and yeah, it was amazing. Then what we did was when we finished up at the Shard, we got on a double-decker bus and went over Tower Bridge back to the hotel, which was fun.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd ever been on a bus in central London, seeing iconic places on the bus.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a different feel
Yeah,
about it.
I've walked over Tower Bridge loads of times. I've even driven over it.
Driving over it's horrible.
Yeah, it's so like the traffic is a nightmare. But middle of the night on a bus, at the top deck, just looking out like over the river.
Loads of lights everywhere,
Loads of
shine off the
lights.
river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so nice. And then like short little walk back to the hotel was back in, and then that kind of wrapped it up. And it was her birthday on the Monday, so the day after, and we went home after having all these experiences and sharing these memories. And then we ordered a special cake for a birthday that you would usually get in Italy. So it wasn't like, you know, everyone, if you get a custom cake, you order like an Oreo cake or something that has your favourite candy on it.
Yeah.
In Italy, they do it so it's like, it's a special cake. Like you can't get it anymore. You can't buy it in a supermarket, and you can't get it in a candy store. It's like, it's a proper cake with
proper personal.
specific creams and chocolates they make it with, and it's all about the ingredients they use, and it's very Italian. So we ordered one of those.
It just makes us feel like England just so uncultured.
we
just
are
chuck an Oreo on top of it, and it's a good cake.
We are very. I think we're Americanized as well, but
it's getting there.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, so we had this cake, and it was really nice.
A nice little wrap up to the end of good weekend.
Yeah, it was lovely.
That's good, man.
We had a good time, and we chilled out. Back to work on the Tuesday, so usually I do my check-ins on like a Monday, but it was her birthday on the Monday, so I was like, push it forward another day. She had the day off as well. Done my check-ins on a Tuesday. Back to work, back to reality. But it was actually probably my best round of check-ins to date. I like figured out this system, and where if I time every single check-in, I won't waste any time in between. It's like back to back. Pretty much I've done 20 clients in 6 hours, and usually it takes me like 8 or 9. So
fair enough. Blimmin' hell.
Yeah.
This is the thing. You don't realise how personal something is, because I'm on the same sort of workout scheme. Like, you're obviously helping me out, helping it out with like personal training and stuff like that. But yeah, you get them through, and it just looks so like nonchalant of like your approach to me and everything like that, which I think is really good. It works for me. Just sort of, it's not forced, and it's not like, I've got to get you the information before I make it personal. You know what I mean? Like, a little bit.
I look at you, I look at the program, look at what you've done, and then I just explain basically off of the back of what you've done last week. This is what I need you to do this week, and
it's just so simplistic. It's really nice, and then you don't realise what goes on in the background behind it. You're probably thinking loads about what you're going to say before you even do it.
Yeah, like I write it up before, and then I've got like 10 different tabs open because I'm looking through all of your information. So like your steps, your calories, your workouts, each individual workout, your MyFitnessPal food entries. Like, I'm looking at everything. So I spend like a good time preparing for each client before I even get to the point where
that's
I record
what I mean.
a video.
Like, it's just so personal when you're talking, and it's over. That's the sort of nice thing, is for me it lasts like 2-3 minutes because you're talking to me through it. Like, we text normally. Like, we text yesterday about it, and it was just so simple. Just texting back and saying maybe about this. What do you reckon about that? Giving me loads of good advice that I use the next day in the gym, and that night in the gym. Funny enough, and it's just it's so simple, but you don't go see what sort of goes on behind it. And I do find that really interesting about the work you've got to put in behind it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of work that goes into it, and I feel that so I'm part of this mentorship called OTE. It's like it's called Online Trainer Education. They basically help me to figure out systems in which to make the process easier, so that I can basically take on as many clients as I have, as I'm capable to take on, and then basically I'm going to get to a point where I'll start hiring like an accountability coach, so they can do maybe the midweek check-ins for me, and also like a virtual assistant where they can kind of run my Instagram account for me, so that all I've got to do is give them the content and they post it throughout the day. And
that'd be a lifesaver for you.
Yeah, so basically turning what I'm doing now into like a proper business.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like streamlined kind of thing, so everything runs nice and smooth one after the other. Instead of you having to physically do it yourself. Yeah,
at the moment, like, I'm doing everything, but it's good because I'm basically working out the processes so that when I do hire someone, I've got it all mapped out, all written down, how long everything should take, so that when I schedule them hours in which, like, I want you to say work on a Thursday for 2 hours, I expect this to be done, and I know it will take this long because I've done it. Yeah. Sort of thing.
Yeah, so you know no one's sort of taking the mick out of it, or you sort of get to give them their KPIs and stuff like that, like targets to meet and stuff. It's a good way to sort of do it. Learn it first, and then obviously once you've built up the clientele for it.
You've got to be a master at it first. Like, before you hire anyone into anything, before you offload your workload, you need to first of all, like really understand what you're doing to a degree that you can teach someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, like, it's like personal trainers. Like, you need to get in good physical shape yourself. You have to go through that process to understand what people are going to go through.
Yeah.
So, like, I've done it multiple times where I'll, like, bulk up and strip down, and I'll try and do it periodically so that I can understand fresh, like, you know, it's not just like, oh, I've done this a couple of years ago. Like, no, I've done this recently, and I learned this new thing, in which will help me add to that, you know, client experience, what they're going to go through. And I can guide them through it a lot easier. And you learn something new every time you do it. Like, I think I've gone through, I used to do a lot of cutting for boxing, but it wasn't healthy cutting. It was just starve yourself and
starve yourself and wrap yourself in a black bag or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I become a PT, it was like, okay, I'll go through like tracking my calories, tracking my steps, figuring out what works for me, how much I actually need to eat, how much I actually need to move to, say, lose like 1 kilo per week or half a kilo per week, whatever the goal was, within a specific time frame. And so last year, from around September up until December, I lost how much was it? 7 kilos, and basically stripped off body fat whilst retaining all the muscle mass I had, and done a photo shoot. Felt really good, and I learned so much through that experience that I was able to give to my clients. And now I'm going through a bulking phase in which I'm trying to up my calories, trying to do less steps. Just trying to move less, burn less, and train to a level that I'm putting enough stress on my body for it to grow, because that's really important. But it's also important not to overwork yourself and overtrain, because when you overtrain, you break down the muscle to a point where it can't recover properly, and it's not going to grow. It's just going to go back to square one. So you'll destroy the muscle to a point where you can't even train it properly for the following week, and that's not efficient. So it's just figuring out that perfect balance in which you get your nutrition right, you get your training right, so that you get what you want. And it's such a process. Like, it's trial and error every week. There'll be something you have to change slightly so that you can basically progress at a faster rate until you've nailed it. And it usually takes about 4 weeks, and then it's just about rinse and repeat until that stops working, because inevitably, like, your body's going to get used to what you're doing, and then you have to switch it up a little bit. And it's often like, you don't have to switch it up completely, you just need a subtle change, some kind of transition in your training in which, you know, you're working the same muscle group but slightly different exercise in a different way. Or it could be, you know, if you're losing weight, then you need to, just change your calories very slightly and up your steps very slightly, so that you continue to lose weight, because your body's just got used to it. So, ran over basically.
Well, actually, I wanted to touch on it because it's something we briefly touched about, because basically working today, I was off my feet. Like, I had to sit at the laptop all day, like, struggling to even move to go to the toilet, like, to the point where I'm like, right, I've got to go, right, 1 sec, pause this, and then run off. But I didn't get much time to eat, so I just ordered a KFC. Like, I'm bulking at the moment as well. I've just finished football for a while, so I'm going to enjoy myself in trying to build as much muscle as possible. I really enjoy it, so I thought, why not? Give it a go. And that's what I spoke to Georgio about what's the right kind of things to eat, what's like a bad meal to have, and what's okay that you can kind of get away with. I think, I'm not too sure if you agree, like, it doesn't really matter the type of meals you eat. Obviously, everything in moderation. Like, I'm not going to have KFC every day for every meal and all that stuff. But it's not too much of an issue having a bad meal. Like, if I'm having, especially on a bulk, even if I was on a cut, I mean, let's say I have everyone sort of likes a bonus banquet, everyone I talk to, and that's about 1,000 calories. As long as you can fit it in your macros and it's sort of hitting the protein targets you're having. Obviously, you need to make sure you get your fats in as well. Carbs can be a bit dependable on the person. Some people don't respond well to eating carbs, some do. The same sort of fat as well. But I think what I want to talk about is a dirty bulk. Obviously, like we just said, everything in moderation. I'm doing something at the moment where I'm having about 400 calories extra. Just a small little tweak. That's not even a full meal. It can be a full meal, obviously, if you're
a few extra
egg whites and stuff like that. Exactly.
Basically bulk up,
protein bar or 2 extra. What do you think of a dirty bulk? And I mean, like, you see something, you eat it. I know so many people who like KFC for lunch. they'll go and have a Domino's for dinner, but they wake up in the morning and they're like absolutely pounding back like protein bars, a protein shake, and
so the problem with that is you put on a lot of excess body fat that isn't necessary for you to grow muscle. So you're essentially just piling on weight. Yes, you will grow muscle, but you're making the cutting phase harder for yourself. So, you know, a lean bulk is ideal, and it's more structured, and you're basically, you know, you're making more informed decisions. You're not just eating everything. You're understanding that, okay, even though I'm on a bulk and I have to eat more, I'm not going to go past a certain point because it's just not necessary. And it's all about doing what's necessary.
Yep.
So, but at the same time, like in terms of bad food, a lot of people outside of the fitness industry, so people who are not, you know, in it, if you like, they're scared of eating bad foods on a diet. So they won't eat certain takeaways. They won't eat certain foods. And what I encourage my clients to do is actually have those takeaways and figure out what's in them. Figure out, you know, how much you can actually get away with and still be in your calorie budget, so that you're not on a restrictive diet. You can eat basically what you want, and you know that if you have a Chinese and you portion it out right, you'll still be within your calorie budget. So if you have 1,500 calories and you want to have a Chinese and you budget it out, and you could probably get away with a Chinese like 700 calories, then happy days. You can have Chinese, and you just figured out a way to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, and you'll find this stuff on my fitness page. You type in prawn balls, egg fried rice, like all the, you know, the normal Chinese takeaway stuff. You will find it on there, and all you've got to do is before you put it on your plate, just weigh it out.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what it is. And then once you do that, you'll have an eye for it. So you'll be like, oh, I know that's 100 grams of whatever, and you'll understand your food better. So that
you'll miss the days where you couldn't eyeball food.
Yeah.
You'll miss the days where you look at something like, oh, that's like 200 grams of rice. I can't have that. Flipping hell. I've got to cut it back. I miss the days where I can go, no, it's about 100. And then I'll just lie to myself.
Yeah.
Like,
but it keeps you in line. Like, it keeps you informed. It helps you realise what's in your food and how much energy it is. So that, you know, if you're trying to lose weight, you can make the decision to have that meal and have it in a way that isn't going to, you know, stop your progress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's my whole slogan is working smarter, not harder. So I'm not going to put you on a program where I do everything for you.
Yeah.
Because essentially, if I do that, you're not going to gain anything from it other than, you know, if I want to lose weight, I have to eat these 3 meals.
And also, it's like almost, if you give them that, you give them the whole eat this and stay away from this, they can't depend without you. And I think...
Yeah, and I don't like that.
No, exactly.
I love the idea of people being fully independent by the time they leave me. Like, I recently had a guy who left the program after 4 months, and he knew exactly what he needed to do to basically, like, he lost, I think it was 6 kilos. So he didn't have loads of weight to lose, but he lost enough to basically get rid of his love handles and start to see some muscular definition. And it was just a case of like, oh, I didn't know how to do that before. Now I know how to do that. Now I know how to train. Now I'm in a routine. Now I feel really good about myself, and I'm ready to do this on my own. And if there ever is a point where he feels like, you know, I want to do something else. Maybe I want to go for a bulk, or maybe, you know, I've fallen off the wagon and I want to get back on it, and I need that accountability from the coaching. I'm there. Yeah. But it's not like it's not that codependency in which
you're not head lost without you, basically, after the time they spent with you.
Yeah. And that's what I think. That's what defines a good coach from a bad coach, and it's what I like about the mentorship that I'm on as well, because they teach you things in which these are skills that you'll be able to take away, and you don't necessarily need them, but they're constantly upscaling their service so that they're providing more and more value, and constantly thinking outside of the box and giving you more things that you want to stay with them. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my business at the moment. Is, you know, at the moment I'm working on a recipe book in which that if you go out for a takeaway, you basically know what's in every single thing on the Wagamama's menu, so that, you know, you can make an informed decision to say, okay, I'm going to have this, this and that, and I'll still be within my calories, because a lot of restaurants don't have calories next to the meals you're having, and you can't even find it on MyFitnessPal. So I'm going through the process of figuring all that out, and it takes time, but it's something that I want to give to people so that, you know, they know what they're doing. And it's all about knowing what you're doing, and it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, if you're on a program that you don't really know why you're doing what you're doing, then it's probably not a good program. So.
Yeah, no, that's like really helpful, to be fair, because you've done the same for me. like, even though I'm a personal trainer and everything, sometimes it's good to have a sort of flip side to the coin, to still the same kind of industry. It's still a personal trainer with a lot more experience than me, obviously, like loads more experience than me, to give me a little bit of an idea of other ways to train, give myself another idea of, right, there's not just one way. There's multiple ways to get to the same street, so to speak.
Yeah.
And a little bit of, like you said, a bit of codependence, but enough to sort of go, right, you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
Like the importance of different type of training, like you said, obviously, to what's the gym bros saying, to shock the muscles by giving it a different workout. So not just hammer curls or anything like that, changing up just the way in which you hold an easy bar instead of a straight bar, dumbbells instead of obviously a straight bar and everything like that. But just to have that other idea, other difference of opinion to go, right, okay, you can change up quite a lot. That was a thing that I've got so much from just working with you so far. And I'm seeing, like, I'm not even big, like, it really sounds like I'm trying to sell him off. I'm really not. Like, I'll be completely honest about it, but I've already seen changes. Just even me, how I enjoy the workouts. Every time I'm finishing a workout, I'm like, it was a proper hard one, so I'll put it onto, he's got a little scale on the app where it tells you how hard the workout was.
Yeah.
Every single time, hard workout, but really enjoyed it because of this, that, and the other. And I worked in these rep ranges, and it was really, like, I really enjoyed it today. Or I felt rough, but the workout made me feel so much better. I think I put that the other day on, like, Monday, I think it was. And it is so true, like, with just having a difference of opinion. And even if you're starting off from new, I mean, there must be so many people that just go, like, I didn't even have a clue. Like, how I think stuff is so simple. Like, for example, my fiance, she won't touch something if she, like, something bad, like, to eat. If she's going through, like, she's trying to lose weight or whatever she's trying to do, she won't touch. Like, I'll have a KFC, and I'm like, no, you've got enough calories for it. Trust me, you're fine. And she's like, I don't want to touch it. Yeah,
that's the fear.
I'll blow. That's fine. You normally get bigger after you eat, and that's just how your body works. Just don't have it again tomorrow, and you won't blow the day after.
Foods that will cause more inflammation than others. Often, people do, like, when there's a lot of fat in your food, that can be hard to digest and process, because fat is like double the amount of calories of a carb or a protein. So basically your body has to work twice as hard to break it down. And that basically causes more inflammation than you would do. So it's natural to have bloating when you have fatty food. It's not necessarily unhealthy, but obviously lots of fatty food consumed over a long period of time can cause all kinds of things. Like, you can get to a point where you need your gallbladder removed.
Yeah.
You know,
So there's, obviously too much of one thing's, like, obviously bad for it. Even it having too much fruit, you can like, obviously, antioxidants and oxidants. If you have too many antioxidants, it's not good for your body. So blueberries and stuff like that, they ain't good to have them in excess amounts. But everyone knows blueberries are a fruit. They're good to have. Like, have them in your porridge and everything like that. So, like you said, everything in moderation. But you don't get confused with, even if, let's say, for example, you didn't have any repercussions from just eating fat, let's say, for example, but you still was in your calorie budget, you're still going to lose weight. It's just simple maths. I think about my calories as almost like, this is my spending for the week. I do mine on a weekly basis. So one day I might actually pig out.
My fitness pal is like Monzo, someone told me once. One of my clients. I was like, I just go on there, I map out my day, I have this budget, and I know how to spend it.
Exactly.
And once you go through the process of actually inputting everything for the first couple of times, say, it might take 2 weeks to really get in the swing of it, then it's all there. It's all there. All your, like, especially if you save your meals, that's very important. When you're having a dinner and you know that's like a regular dinner for you, save it as a meal. And then all you have to do is go on My Meals,
press the meal,
and then it's done. And then your day has already been calculated for you, so you know exactly how much you need to eat that day.
Oh, exactly. So it's not exactly the end of the world to go over stuff. I mean, we started the podcast just thinking, we'll have a light breezy one. We won't really talk about fitness. And we just we literally just started.
We did say we'd go off on a tangent.
Yeah, I know we would. Yeah. I'm absolute nightmare for it. But anyway, let's get back onto it. We haven't heard how you and your partner met. So you're gonna talk about that?
Right, you're gonna throw the ball back.
Yeah, definitely. Put me on the spot with absolute. Sound like a tool. An absolute.
I loved your
tool.
story. I thought it was really good.
It's not too bad.
All right, so I've got quite an interesting one. So I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit before we met.
Go on.
And kind of tell you how I ended up in this situation.
Go on, yeah.
So I went through like a bit of a breakup end of 2017, and I decided that I wanted to go traveling.
Oh, right.
So first step on the whole journey of like figuring out that I want to travel was I had a week in one of the Spanish islands, things like Gran Canaria or somewhere. Stayed in a surfing hostel,
Oh, right.
and it was amazing.
Was
It
it?
was like I went there on my own, and it sounds a bit sad, but basically none of my friends ever wanted to do anything. I never had any money to do anything. It was always like, oh, let's just go down to the pub. I was like, no, sod that. I want to do something. Who wants to come with me? Silence. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go. And so I went away, and I met so many like really cool people, like just people you wouldn't meet unless maybe you're in central London and you're like, you know,
Surrounded by
just
multiple
vibing.
cultures.
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah.
So all these travellers and backpackers were coming through this hostel, and everyone was like surfing and just doing their thing. And I had that week and I just had this like epiphany of like, you know, I've been stuck in a box, I think, most of my life.
Yeah.
And like literally going somewhere completely on my own, having an amazing time with complete strangers.
Yeah.
It just opened up my mind to be like, I could literally go anywhere in the world and be totally fine. And I felt like all the strings that were attached to me were just off.
Gone.
And I could do anything, like in terms of travel anywhere, make friends anywhere, just be in a good place. As long as I was in a good place in myself, I would attract the right kind of people, and that would lead to good friendships down the line. And
it's a good way to go about it, to be fair, because I'm kind of how you were before. I've got my routine, I've got my people I know, got my friends, got my family. I couldn't, not because I wouldn't enjoy it, because I think I would, but I couldn't think of anything worse than having to go to a new place where you don't know anyone, and you're like, right, okay, let's try and get to talking to people. Let's try and get to doing activities on my own and being okay with that. I wouldn't even want to go to the cinema on my own. Like I'll feel awkward.
I think being a PT helped as well, because before that I was like having lunch on my own most of the time. I'd even go to Nando's on my own because I needed to eat to keep up with my calorie intake, and it was just like most people were on different schedules to me. I'm working my own hours. You have to eat, so you get used to kind of living on your own in that respect. So I did that beforehand. And then going there, I remember this guy, the first thing he said to me, he was like leaving as I was coming in. And he went, oh, is this like your first kind of solo trip? And I was like, yeah. He was like, man, just have an open mind. Like, just really be open to things, be open to people, experiences, you know, just make the most of this. And I really did. And I didn't even know that guy. It was just the most brief encounter. Like, he was checking out, I was checking in. He asked me that question, and that's what he said to me. And
to be fair, you'd have to keep an open mind, just someone, because growing up in London, I mean, if someone approached you, you're like, well, all right, mate, a bit over the top. Like, if I was to go out and like someone said to me, keep an open mind, I'd be like, don't know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got such a weird approach to stuff, especially from like where you grew up. And I think, like you said, being a personal trainer is sort of made you go, I need to be approachable anyway. I need to be open
it's like your job to be approachable.
Exactly. So you've like straight away, you was open-minded anyway. Because I think how I would have reacted to it, not in a horrible way, but it's just been like, oh, nice one, cheers, mate. As you go away, I think, well, I'm not going to be open-minded, am I? I'm on my own. Like, I'll try to take the mick about it a little bit.
No, but for me, it was like, this is perfect advice. This is what I need to hear right now. And this guy had just been, you know, through an experience that I was about to go through. And so I had a great time there, kind of come back, and, you know, bits and things happened where I wasn't really happy in England. And then I was like, right, I want to go away. So I went to Thailand for a few months. Actually went there with someone that didn't work out. So there's like lots of ups and downs throughout the entire process.
What was it? A partner you went away with? Was it a friend?
It was a friend it was kind of a thing, but it didn't really work out. It wasn't really getting on whilst we were there. And I realised that I needed to be alone, and probably because of the experience I had in Gran Canaria, I had such a great time on my own. And just this whole independence thing of going somewhere and just being like, just figuring things out for yourself. Yeah. And also like finding yourself through that process. And so I went to Thailand for like 2.5 months, and then I went to Sri Lanka afterwards. So many amazing experiences. Probably could do a whole podcast on it, but I won't get too tied up in that. Basically, throughout that, I figured out that, you know, I kind of figured out what I wanted to do in my life, basically. Right. Which is, I think it's quite hard to do that, and it's hard to do that when you're stuck in the same place all the time. Yeah. But when you're like, you know, traveling, meeting people, staying in loads of different places, you figure a lot out about yourself, and you figure out what you want out of life.
Is it limitations you figure out? Is it how you can be a bit more open-minded? Like you said, be more open-minded. Like, what is it you learn? You actually think physically you learn whilst going away on your own.
I realised that people labelled me a lot. It was like everyone thought of me as what they knew me as, and I knew that to find myself, I needed to be alone, and I needed to be away from labels and people's opinions, and just realise, like, who am I?
Yeah.
And what do I want?
Yeah, you get bogged down with opinions a lot. I mean, even social media is just a boatload of opinions, and I mean, you must have. I'm guessing, did you go Instagram, like any social media? Did you go through that when you was away, or did you stay?
No, I was on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of show everyone what I was doing, and it helped me keep that contact with home.
Yeah. But
still have these amazing experiences, and it's also a good way of me keeping track of where I'd been and what I'd done. So I'd save them as like highlights. And
that's brilliant. Yeah. So you've always got something to like go back to and go, oh yeah, this happened this day. Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Like, that's the thing. I'm so glad that we're talking about it, because I would always think going away on your own, I would hate it. Well, I feel like I would have hated it, but
yeah, it wasn't about it. Like, there were moments where I was like, I'm alone, but at the same time, those moments helped me dig deeper in myself and figure out who I am, and that's what I needed at the time. It's exactly what I went there for.
Yeah.
And when I did meet people, and I met the right people, and we just clicked, it was so nice. Like, it was so refreshing. And again, it made me realise you can be anywhere in the world and make friends and be totally fine.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I think you would have a sense of like fear of what's to happen. Not so much
things
like,
happen. Like, bad things do happen. Bad things happen to me. Like, I got deported from India. I was meant to go to India. I ended up in Sri Lanka. I was stuck in an airport terminal with my friend JR. He went through the same thing as me. He's from Cambodia.
Oh, right.
And we literally spent 24 hours locked up in an airport terminal together, without any of our possessions, because they wouldn't give them to us, and they thought we were like, my visa was subjected to, you need a return flight out if you go, and I didn't know when I was going to leave, but I had enough money in my account to be like, I can just fly out anytime, and I'm not going to stay here, and I'm not here for work. I'm here for a holiday, but I might want to leave after 1 month or 2 months, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't book anything, and also I didn't read the small print. So we ended up there, and he had a similar thing to me. Like, he only had a one way. So we're there, and we're stuck, and they've got our suitcases, they've got all our stuff. I had to book like a flight to Sri Lanka. He ended up going back to Cambodia. We had a really was
so
a
you
journey.
split up from? So you went to go together, and then you decided to go separate ways.
We got deported together.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He went home, and I went somewhere else.
Oh, fair enough. That's cool.
But it was like it was crazy, because he was like my best friend by the end of it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, like, we finished up being like real close buddies, and we stayed in contact for a long time, and it was really cool. But so coming out of that, ended up in Sri Lanka again. Similar sort of experience to Thailand, but a bit more real. Like, it was a real third world country. It was more like there was real poverty going on, and
walking past it every day kind of thing.
You get to experience something that you would never experience in the Western world.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
It must have been hard to even go and watch it. Like, even walking past people, knowing, like you said, having all this money in your bank, knowing you could leave, go wherever you.
Tons, but
I mean,
to travel enough. And
and do what you sort of really wanted to do, not stuff like you said, westernized, where you go, I don't know, like a theme park or something when you go away. But you had enough to go, right, I can eat, I can go home when I want.
Yeah.
I've got somewhere to stay, and you're walking past people. Obviously, not saying like, oh, you should have given it away, but I mean, like, you're walking through it and you're like, right, I'm like privileged to walk through it and like go.
Not even
I can see it. I can see it firsthand.
I was living off £10 a day, and that was like hostel accommodation, food, basically anything I needed. That was my budget, and you could get away with living off of that in these places. What I found was, I had like fair hair, blue eyes, real pale skin, walking through a street, and they're looking at me like I'm an alien.
Yeah.
And people coming up to me, like, asking me to pay for their dad's operation, and like all kinds of weird stuff kept happening to me because they thought I was some celeb. I don't know what they thought I was, but they thought I was something I wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
look, I've got just enough money to get back home.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I'm white, like doesn't mean that I can pay thousands of pounds for whatever, you know. I'm
Treatments,
you know, it was crazy, like because they look at you and they think like, you know, you're well off and you're traveling, but I was just a kid. You know? So,
That's quite funny because obviously them get like you're like you said, blue eyes, fair skin, everything you're walking through, and they straight away think like something you're not, maybe a celebrity, maybe whatever it is. I had well, my stepdad now, he had a son. He was like 3 years old at the time, blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, exactly the same. And I'm not entirely too sure what country he went out to, but I think it was an African country. And he's taken him out there, and basically they're sitting outside a cafe, and he's like running about because he's a little toddler. He wants to run about and do bits. And a family's come up and gone, oh, can we take a picture of your son? And he was like, yeah, all right then. And they was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
come here.
Yeah.
And he's just turned around and just started eating again because he's thinking, oh, I'm just going to take a picture here. He's turned back around maybe about 30 seconds later, and he's like, where's Max? Where have they taken him? They took him around the corner and showed him to the family because the family was like, no way, I can't believe, like, his hair's so blonde, his skin's so white. And they was like absolutely befuddled by it. But imagine that happening in England. You'd be like, someone's taking a kid, why have they run off with my child? Yeah, it'd be mental. But over there it's like, wow, like look at your son, he's so abnormal, kind of like nothing like we've seen before, and they're so amazed by it. I just think that's it's kind of humbling to just go.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel like, obviously, it makes you feel bad because we obviously come from a place of privilege.
Oh, massively,
but
yeah.
At the same time, it's good to experience those things and kind of experience how well off we actually are. Even if you're not doing well financially, like you'll never have to go through what some people have to go through.
Yeah.
And it gave me like a profound sense of like, okay, well, I've got this life and I should probably try and do something really good with it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It humbles you, doesn't it? It brings you back down to earth.
It humbles you, yeah. But coming out of that, so left Sri Lanka after a little while and basically kind of got like stuck in England again. It was like I had plans to travel again, but I ended up just falling back into a routine. I was back at my parents, and then got to a point where I wasn't really happy by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I basically went out for a Halloween party, and I bumped into this guy who was like a friend of a friend, and he was like, "You want to come out to this party with me in 2 weeks' time?" So I'm like, cool. And it's that whole thing of like being open to things, meeting new people that I'd already gone through that I kind of missed. And I was like, yeah, man, I'd love that. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went out and went to this bar that I'd never been to before. It was called the Green Man in Oxford Street. So it's just like near Tottenham Court Road, down that way.
Yeah.
And we're in there, we're having a pre-drink, and, you know, I'm with this guy who I don't really know that well.
Yeah.
His name is Jerry. He's a really nice guy.
Oh, fair play.
And so yeah, I'm there and I'm with his group of friends and I don't really know them, but I'm getting to know these people and I'm going through all this, you know, new experience again.
Mm.
And then there's these two girls across the bar and they're like dark haired, kind of short, like my kind of type. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I want to go over and speak to them. Who wants to come with me? And again, it's like, nah.
Brave.
No,
That's
silence. Like,
yeah,
no one
that
wants
is
to
it.
come with me. So I was like, cool, I'm just going to go over there and talk to them because I'd had a few drinks and I wanted to make conversation with someone new, someone female.
Do you reckon you would have done that if you didn't go away on your own? Because that's what
I don't know. I mean, I've always been quite outgoing anyway, but it was like, I don't know, it was something weird about that night or something in the air, I don't know.
Yeah, you had that feeling or something like that.
And my girlfriend's going to be mad at me and she knows, but I started speaking to her friend first, but it wasn't really like that. It was just that she was the closest.
You were trying to get in,
me.
yeah, that's it. You were just trying to make sure
she
the
was
friend
there
wasn't going
and
to push
she
you
was
away.
there and I was here, so it was like, talk to the first person who's in front of me. But
well, when girls go out together, they always have like whoever you're trying to talk to, the other friend's the bouncer. The other friend's like blocking you because they're like, no, that's my mate. So you're just buttering up her friend so he can talk to you.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all
how
you're
it
doing.
happened. And so I started talking to her friend, and her friend didn't really speak very good English.
Oh, right.
So that was funny because I was learning to be an English teacher, funny enough. So because I went to Thailand, I met a lot of English teachers who were working from their laptops, and it was like, this is a good way to make money if you're going to travel. So
That's a good
I've done a
point, that.
TEFL course and someone outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've done a TEFL course and that's another story. I've got so many stories that I could open up on, but I want to kind of stick to the point on this.
Yeah.
Get to my girlfriend finally, because big like build up to it. So yeah, so I started speaking to a friend, and then Jenica, who's now my girlfriend, started translating for us, and then I ended up speaking to Jenica, and yeah, we didn't speak about too much.
Yeah.
It was just like normal kind of small talk at the bar, but there was something there. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But I couldn't quite put my finger on it, and basically we went out to like a nightclub afterwards. I don't know. I think it was more of a rave sort of thing, like a warehouse sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So me and Jerry went there afterwards, but you know, spent a bit of time talking to my future girlfriend, and she was only there for the weekend. So she'd just come with her friend to London because she loved London and always wanted to go, and just happened to be in the same bar that I was in, and me being the idiot that I am went over and started talking to random people, and she happened to be that random person, and we exchanged like numbers and we started talking, and that was like November time, and then in December we were still talking. So it was like, you know, I didn't really know where it would go.
Yeah.
Because she was in Italy and I was in England.
Oh, so she was actually from Italy visiting London.
Yeah.
And you just happened
On
to,
a
on a
weekend
one
away.
day.
I'd never been out. I don't really go out to London much. I do now, but I never used to. And I was in this one bar, this one particular place, and met this one interesting person. I thought, you're interesting.
Who was there on a one-off as well.
Yeah, just like random.
Everything aligned.
It was so random.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we spoke to each other every single day. Like, we couldn't stop speaking to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just wanted to know more about each other, and it got to a point where, like, if I keep on talking to you, I want to come and visit you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it was like mid-December time, and I went on the EasyJet app. Well, I downloaded it randomly, and the first thing that come up was Verona, and I was like, "Do you know where Verona is?" And she was like, "That's the closest big city to where I live."
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
The first one has come up as well.
I was like, I took that as like a little sign.
A little omen or something like that, yeah.
I was like, look, if we're still talking in the new year, or by the end of January, by the end of December, sorry, then I'll book a flight and I'll come see you.
And her birthday's coming up, so she was quite a smart girl getting you out during her birthday.
It's really bad because when we were only like texting and phone calls and stuff, I actually forgot her birthday.
Did you?
First time, but we hadn't really met each other properly yet, so she let me get away with that. But yeah, so we had this long distance thing going on, and we got really close over the phone. Like she's a really good listener.
Fair enough.
She just was able to listen to me with like crystal clear focus, and she understood everything I said. And when she spoke, I could tell that she cared.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't just making small talk. Like, just over the phone, I realised the type of person she was. Very deep, very intellectual, very logical. I was like, there's something about this woman.
Yeah.
So, I booked a flight for February, and I went to meet her in Verona. I got an Airbnb, and she was a little bit like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I want us to stay together." I went, "It's up to you. Like, I've got the Airbnb, and we'll meet up. And if you just want to come see me for a couple of days, that's fine. If you want to stay with me, cool. We'll see how the first day goes."
Yeah.
And the build up to it was like a lot of suspense, a lot
nervousness,
of like really nervous. I remember, so when I flew there, I was like totally fine, because I think I was used to being on planes on my own at that time.
Yeah.
I'd done a lot of air travel on my own, so that part was fine. And I got to Verona train station and started hyperventilating. I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I was shaking, like sweating. I was like, "Oh my god, I stink!" Like, I had to keep using deodorant.
I know exactly what you mean.
And it's like, "Oh my god, I've come all this way to meet this girl. Like, what if I don't like her? What if she doesn't like me? Like, oh my god, this is crazy."
Yeah.
And like literally, it's crazy. It was like a movie scene. So I didn't even realize where she was until she was like right in front of me.
Yeah, yeah.
And at that moment, like obviously we realized who we were. And we'd only met the one time like 3 months before, and my suitcase just fell.
Yeah.
And we just latched onto each other and just kissed, like
So
full on kissed in the middle of a train station. My bag was on the floor. She dropped her bag, and it was like so intense. It was such a moment, and she'll probably cringe out me saying all of this. But it was literally like a movie scene. It was crazy, and afterwards, we embraced each other. Like we hugged for about 20 minutes, and I
sitting on a train station.
It was 20 minutes because I checked my watch off my phone, but I didn't realise it was 20 minutes.
No,
like it felt like 2.
Flies, yeah.
But we'd been standing there for about 20 minutes, just hugging, and there was
nice,
so
man.
much emotion that had built up over time for us getting to know each other that when we actually met, it was so special.
Yeah.
And we was walking out to the bus to basically go to central Verona, like just holding hands for the first time, and I remember waiting at the bus stop, and I just knew that this is the girl I want to marry. And I haven't asked her the question yet, but we always joke about it. Like, it was just so special that I couldn't imagine being with anyone else. And that was it for me. That was it. It was
That's
crazy.
a really good story, but what I love about it the most is that for me, obviously you know yourself a lot better than I would know you, but everything that you said was almost like it was training you for just meeting her. Like
it was like I'd never be in that position if I hadn't gone through all of that and done all that traveling and to meet this one particular person. And honestly, like, she's held me in good stead. Like, she's helped me make decisions that I wouldn't have been able to make myself. Like, even my business, my career, like everything. She's so forward thinking.
Yeah.
She's almost like my biggest asset.
Yeah, like your rock for.
Yeah.
Like your other half is always going to be the rock, but what's the saying, behind every good man is a great woman, kind of thing, and everything like that. And that is literally like like you told it from exactly the right point. Like you saying, "Oh, I'm starting miles back," but it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it does make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because it literally was almost like a training session for you to go through everything you went through.
Yeah.
And that feeling of realization, like I've got a thing of it's tomorrow Jack's problem, and I think that's what it sort of sounded like you had when you was on the plane getting ready to go. You're like, I'm not dealing with it yet. It's not a problem.
Yeah,
then
it hadn't hit me.
It hits you, and you're like,
not
whoa,
hit me. I was
it's
not
terrifying.
There,
You can't even fake that feeling either. Like the almost anxiously feeling sick because you're so excited about something, but you don't know how it's going to turn out.
I'm anxious now talking about it, just because it's bringing up all these emotions, like reliving it and remembering what it was like and all the feelings I went through. It's like I can feel it now.
Yeah.
And my stomach's giving me butterflies. Like, it's so much.
Well, this is what I was going to say as well, because you said she lived out in Italy. So she moved over here for you, or was it for work?
So basically we had like a long distance thing where we saw each other like once a month. So I went there for a weekend, she came here for a weekend, I went there. Done that like 3 or 4 times, and then it was around like May time, where she was actually meant to go to Toronto, I think, for a internship with her cousin. But that fell through, and it was to do with her university degree. So she wanted to do an international internship. She wanted to be in another place, and that would go towards her dissertation and all her last year of uni. So she had to do an internship. She didn't want to do it in Italy. She learnt her course in English, so she was like really well spoken English.
Oh, perfect.
So it was just like, I want to do it in an English speaking country. Got family in Canada. Might go there. And it fell through, and she was like, "Oh my god, like I'm freaking out. Like I've got like 1 month until I'm supposed to be doing this internship, and I don't know what to do." And she was like, "I think I might come to London."
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, cool. That's perfect."
You must have been buzzing. The second she said that word England, you're like, "Yes, yes,
it was so
come
good.
here, please."
And I was in a position where I wanted to move out. I wanted to get my own place, but it was like, can I hack living on my own? What do I want to do? I was like, if you're coming to London, like, I know it's a big step, but everything's been crazy up until this point. Why don't we get a place together?
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, if you're in the right place, like, there's not a time limit on when you should do stuff. It's when it feels right, and if you both agreed to it, obviously, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it took 8 years, but for you, it could be exactly the same distance. Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just you know when it's the right time to do it. Yeah. Whether it's obviously personal life stopping you, whether it's your work life, you know when it's the right time to make a big decision like that. And obviously, even though like people might say 6 months is a short time, it was perfect for you, and it's obviously worked out.
Yeah, so, I mean, even like in that process, obviously we were still in the honeymoon phase, and then we moved in together. Like she came here, I picked her up, and I was still like figuring out furniture and stuff. Like we just got the flat basically.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
all like done within the space of a month.
Oh, that's
And
quick. I mean,
yeah,
it took me ages.
oh,
to-
man.
yeah.
We didn't have table and
Stress.
chairs for like 6 weeks.
Sitting on the
had
floor.
a bed, the sofa, and the TV, and we just kind of lived like that until we got some proper furniture. But yeah, it was like so we went through all of that, and then there was a second task of kind of learning to live with each other.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
so
guessing
underrated.
You know exactly what that's like.
Yeah, well, to be fair, for me, I think it's different for men and women, though, isn't it? Men, you can kind of just go, that's just a woman thing. Like, my miss will brush her hair off, had hair everywhere, and you're like, yeah, it is what it is. As much as it's kind of annoying, you're just like, that's just because she got long hair. Men are so much, like, don't get me wrong, I know I'm annoying. Like, the little things that we do, we know we're annoying.
She had to train me, basically. She had to domesticate me, because I was I was terrible. Like, I'd leave everything everywhere. I didn't know how to cook anything.
Yeah,
and
that's
she was
so
picking
underrated
up
as
a lot
well.
of the slack and trying to do everything, and it just got a bit too much for her.
I
Like,
was going to say, she's got like a golden card of going, well, I've moved to Italy, why can't you pick up your tab? Like, she could say whatever she wants
like, I
to.
moved countries for you.
Yeah, and you
Can
can't
you
put a
pick
plate
up your
away.
Towel?
Like, yeah, you've lost every argument. Every
yeah.
single argument, you're never
It was a
winning
big
that.
commitment for her. Like, she literally left her friends, her family to start a new life with me, and even now, like, she still gets homesick. It's really hard.
Yeah, I was going to say, that must be so difficult. Like, I've travelled with football for 10 days at a time, and I'm like calling my mum at a night time. I've been away from her for a day, and I'm like down the phone going, I want to come home, I miss it, I don't want to be here anymore. And like, that must be so difficult.
Yeah.
How does she cope with that?
Like, especially over COVID. So like, literally since she has been here and we've been living together, out of the 3 years, 2.5 of them we've been like in COVID
horrible.
lockdowns. Yeah, it's been tough. Like, it's been we would have been out to Italy a lot more than we have done, but we haven't been able to. Like, we wanted to go there for Christmas and wasn't able to.
Yeah.
And it's been real tough, and it's also hard. Like, she was out of work for a little while as well because of the pandemic. Her internship was with a company who basically had like Italian students coming over for work experience.
Oh right, yeah.
And obviously when COVID hit, that didn't exist anymore.
So there's no one coming
everyone
over.
got made redundant, and then it was like
Wow.
every single day trying to figure out what, like, applying for jobs, and that is a full-time job.
Oh mate, yep. Yeah, it takes flipping ages. And the problem is, it's not finding a job. It's finding a job that you're going to enjoy. Something that's not going to drain you. Like,
you don't want to do something like everyone was. There were people saying like, "Oh, just have this job, just get a job."
Just get an admin job. Just go in an office. Yeah.
When you're that, like, you know exactly who you are. You know exactly what you want and what you're good at. You're not going to settle for anything less than that. And
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
you really shouldn't.
So she got a job like last year August, and she's just flying.
Oh,
like,
brilliant.
Absolutely flying. Like, she's figured out, like, she's leveled up so quickly.
What's she doing for work at the moment then?
So she works for a pharmaceutical company called Pharmanovia.
Oh, right.
She probably, like, sorry, privacy and all that. But yeah,
her job number is this, and she lives here.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Like, she works with big companies, like international companies, and she's kind of communicating with the CEOs and just like, from where she started in the company to where she is now in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It shows you what type of person they are.
Yeah.
When that happens,
like really driven, really like just
dedicated to what she's doing. Because that's a hard trait to have, to apply yourself in a way. I mean, I know so many people, and to be fair, I'm not going to lie, everyone who I even work with in my office it's a little bit like that. You just sort of, it's a job, it pays. I do stuff like this because I love it. And hopefully one day a career might come out of it or whatever down the line, but you do stuff behind it. So me working for the company I'm working for at the moment, it's just a means to an end for some people. You do your work, you go home. Yeah. But to have something that actually makes you want to wake up in the morning, that's something else. That's a great thing to have, and to be the type of person to apply yourself in such a big way to it and put your all into it. you're only going to go up in. You know what I mean?
That's like the most attractive thing about her.
Dedication, all that, is it? Or
like how, like the first thing I realised about her is she speaks 4 languages.
oh, flipping hell!
And she just
Ridiculous.
she's a very good listener, very good. Like she picks up on emotional intelligence very well. So she just reads the room really well, kind of knows what's going on, and there's certain things that she just won't accept and won't tolerate, sort of thing.
That's good though. To be that type of stern person, that's probably what's got her to where she is today.
Really,
to be honest,
like really straightforward, straight edge, sort of. You know, she knows what it's all about, and just she's a real, like, she helps me want to be better, and I want to be like really good at what I do because I see the way she works, and you know that work ethic rubs off on you. Like, and I thought I was quite hard worker, and I realised I wasn't. It's pretty lazy. Like, so over the course of the last 3 years, I've really like upped my game, and it's pretty much because of her to a large extent.
That's a massive thing though. To know that someone who you could have just missed that day, you might not have gone out. You might have not said yes to your mate when you went out. And then your life is so different from literally just saying the word yes. I mean, accepting opportunities. And I think you not saying yes to that, well, it's obvious, you not saying yes to that, you don't meet her. You don't apply yourself in the way that you feel like you've changed in the last 3 years. Like, and then the business isn't like it is. It's massively like, and I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what languages does she speak? Because I'm absolutely like, I would love to learn another language, but I feel like English people were quite. We're so stubborn.
We're entitled.
We feel like
is everywhere, and we don't have to learn a language. Really, it's not pushed in the schools as much as it is in like European countries. Yeah, so
that's the thing. Like I went to Holland about probably 7 times with football, and everyone speaks such good English. They watch it on TV. They learn it in schools. Yeah, and like. I just felt like I was being nice by learning how to say thank you. Like, and it's something so simple. It's obviously just, it's common courtesy to learn, please, thank you, can I have, like simple stuff like that. I probably wouldn't even be able to remember some of it now. I know like thank you is thank you. I'm probably just butchered it as well. But it's almost like I wish when you're younger, you're like, not forced, but just, they go, right, we're going to be learning another language, not just Spanish and you sort of mess about in secondary school with Spanish, but proper learn something.
Yeah, like be able to go to another country and speak to someone in their native language. Like I'm currently learning Italian because I want to be able to speak to her family.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
I've got to a point where I can have a decent conversation, you know. But
really?
Even before that, so her dad is like, he's just an amazing guy, and he was able to just figure out how I was feeling and what I was thinking just through my eyes.
No, well, just by looking at you.
Yeah, like he would say to Jenica or her mum, give Georgio this, I think he wants that, like at the table, and I wouldn't have made any social cues for that to happen. Yeah, and they'd give it to me, and I'd be like, how did you know? And it was like, oh, Kuitim told us, like, you know what I mean? And he just knew, like, we could have like broken conversations through the little Italian I knew at the time when I first met them, and just through him basically just agreeing and understanding. Yeah.
So he pieced together what you was trying to say, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's, you know what, I find it quite interesting because I feel like English culture is it's so strange. It really is. Like, we're a weird type of people. we say hello by asking how someone is. Like,
all right.
Yeah, and you go, you, and you're not. You might not even be okay. Like, I do it all the time.
The amount of times, I've said like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like,
you go, you're right, and you go, yeah, I'm good. How you doing? But you're not.
You're going through some serious stuff right now, but I'm alright. Like.
That's exactly it. But like, you watch something. There was a YouTube video I watched recently. It was basically an American bodybuilder coming over to England, and I think he met with Eddie Hall. And Eddie was like, "You alright, mate?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he was like, I think English people, they mean to say hello, but they say you're all right. It's like, I don't get it. And that kind of language barrier of, we're not actually asking, it's kind of weird, you know what I mean?
I've realised through Italian that they do a similar thing too.
Oh, really?
Everyone's got their own thing where words don't mean what they actually mean. Not everything's literal. Some things are slang, some things are just commonly used in a certain way they literally mean something else, but they're used in that way.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like, even like swear words. I'm gonna swear in Italian now.
Yeah, you don't even
So
have to bleep it now. It's
so
just
like-
sweet.
Cazzo
Right.
means dicks, but everyone uses it like we use fuck.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's
Yeah.
that, and that's just one little example of how things are,
Oh.
Speak of the devil. No.
Yeah, pause it for a sec.
I mean, we're actually talking about you, so you can just join in on the podcast.
Is that why you've?
Talking about me, are you?
No, I ain't spoke about you once.
Good.
It's sweet.
It's all good.
You're not recording anything.
You're fucking winding me up.
Shut up.
Stop recording.
You're winding me
Yeah.
up.
Oh,
it's
probably
up.
shut.
No.
Winding me up.
Shut the front door. Was it not recording?
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Oh my god, you fucking div.
I bought cake.
As an audio.
I have an idea.
Cool.
We just play it for audio, and we just put
We just put it on Spotify, like.
Well, we put it on Spotify or YouTube, and we just have the logo the whole time. That might be what we have to do.
Yeah. Okay. We just put the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Right. We're not gonna lose it at least.
No, we ain't gonna. We got it all right.
Wow.
At least we don't have to worry about how we're looking.
Going with that.
Well, that'll be in the outtakes then. That'll be
Yeah,
sweet.
exactly.
That'll be something when we go, what dickheads? 15,
We'll
20.
wrap it
I
up now.
bought two
Yeah.
cakes if you want one.
Do you like coffee cake?
Yeah, I do actually.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Or you have whatever one you want and I'll have the other one, because we are bulking and we can.
We can eat whatever we want. Now, and we're back. So, a little break. Realised we wasn't even recording via video, but that's alright.
So you're going to have
So-
a nice view of our logo throughout the
Yeah, I
whole
think
video.
it's pretty good, to be honest. Like, I'd rather just look at the logo than look at us two, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sweating. Like, I'm joking. I'm
I
alright.
didn't even shave today, so.
I never do. I'm an absolute mess. I actually went into the office on, I think it was Friday last week, and one of the girls I haven't seen for a few weeks, actually before Christmas, she came in, what is on your face? And I thought she was meaning like, oh, I had food or whatever. No, I just didn't shave for about a week, so I looked like I just looked like a grease ball. I just looked like a grease ball. It looked horrible. And I was like, you know what? It just shows how much I care about myself. Is that I don't even shave. Couldn't be
That's
bothered.
it.
I went out in public looking like a grease ball.
Oh, mate, you're all good. You're all good. I want to make sure my microphone's. Hang on. Yeah, I think it's good.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
So let's get back into what we were talking about. What was we talking about?
So we're talking about languages with
Yep.
your other half.
Yeah.
What was the 4 languages that she speaks then?
Okay, so her parents were Albanian refugees.
Right.
So they come out of a dictatorship in Albania in '92, where basically everyone was fleeing because the conditions they were living in under the dictatorship were just crazy, and they left to basically find freedom because they was under basically like the equivalent of the Mussolini of our time, like real bad stuff was going on. It was like concentration camps, all that like
Whoa.
terrible stuff.
Yeah.
Not like the Jewish ones, but the kind of camps where you get sent away for example, her dad wanted to grow his hair in like a mullet, and they wanted him to shave his hair bald, and they pulled him up a couple of times. Like, it was like, if you don't shave your hair, we're gonna send you off to the camp.
Cool.
Like, you could not live. It was like probably how potentially China is and Russia is, like that kind of, but it was worse, and that's why it ended the way it did. So yeah, her parents were Albanian refugees, ended up in Italy, and then she was born in Italy, grew up there. So she grew up speaking 2 languages, basically, Albanian and Italian. And then at school, she actually learned English, Spanish, and German, but she said German's kind of left her.
Right.
So yeah, so she speaks, she can understand Spanish and speak it a little bit, but not as much as she did when she was at school because she hasn't used it as much. But she did go to Spain and had trips there and stuff. And obviously English. I think English is basically her main language now. She'll like think in English.
Because that's what my question is.
Everyone asked that.
Yeah, everyone. I was so. That was going to be one of my questions. I got like 3 up in my head, and you already answered one of them because that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Like she's learned. She's grown up with 2 separate languages, as she probably knows equally as well. And then she's used this one so much. She now. That honestly boggles my brain.
Your brain, like, if you don't use it, you lose it. So essentially, like, even with Albanian, she wasn't speaking it as much with her parents. So she started speaking more with her parents in Italian. Whereas she used to, when she'd grown up, speak to them in Albanian, but now everything's in Italian with them, because they're just used to speaking like that now.
Mm.
So she's kind of lost Albanian in a sense that she can understand everything, but she struggles to speak it now.
Mm.
So yeah, it's interesting the way the mind works, and even like me learning Italian now, I'm realizing that you can't do a literal translation for most things. You have to essentially break down the phrase, figure out what it means, and then just remember that phrase, because it's not word for word. So I'm learning within Italian. I'm learning the culture as well as the words. I'm learning the way they think. It's not enough to know Italian and the words.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sentence structure. It's the culture behind the language of why they say things the way they do, and thinking in that way. And we have our own way of speaking as well. So it is very, very interesting.
Yeah, because some phrases are like, I know in different cultures, like I know French, the layout of the words in the way they say it. We say, I am 22 years old, for example. They would structure that sentence in a separate way. So if you was to Google Translate, it wouldn't exactly translate in the right way. It would almost be like you're speaking backwards a little bit to them. I remember speaking about it with my French teacher, because I never could wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
I wasn't very intellectual with learning another language.
It's difficult.
Really.
I find it hard, and I've been learning it for a little while now, and I still find the sentence structure hard because I'm used to the English way of forming a sentence.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they
that
do
must
things
be.
backwards in a sense. Like instead of saying it is not, you would say non-e, which is like no and it is. It's like backwards. You know?
Yeah. I find that so interesting. Like, also another one is how people can change between certain languages. Like, I worked recently at my last company with a fellow, we called him Doug, and it wasn't even his name. That's another story for. Yeah, but it was really weird. Like,
it reminds me of you know, in the Thor movie, I think it's Thor Ragnarok. And he's like,
yeah, cool.
Doug. Yeah, oh,
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. That. And you know what? It's funny that because he was South African as well.
Okay, yeah.
But he was.
I love the accent.
It's brilliant. But
Yeah.
they obviously speak another language over there. But he would be on the phone to his like his family and stuff, and he would flip back between English and like I can't remember what is the language. I really want to.
It's South African, I think.
Is it?
It's basically South. Because
yeah.
I had a South African school teacher, and he used to say I speak in South African to my family. So unless he was just trying to familiarise me with it, unless it's called a different name, I think it is called South African.
Yeah, right. So he would flip back and forth between the two languages, but like he would say and, but then speak in South African, and then he would go back and go, we went to, and then he would say something. I'll be like, how do you process that? I can't. I couldn't.
Yeah, she has a headache.
Think
like
about
when I'm there with her family, and like she's trying to translate for me, and her mum and dad are speaking in Albanian together, speaking in Italian to her, and I'm trying to speak English to her, so that she can translate properly in Italian to them.
Mate, yeah,
she has a massive headache. Like it's hard work. It's a full-time job. Like you're basically a translator.
Oh man.
Yeah, I didn't empathise with it at first because I didn't really know Italian, so I was just like, no, come on, you know these languages, like,
yeah,
you know. And she was like, no, just try and figure it out yourself because I've got a headache. But now I realise, like, God, I don't even know how she did what she did.
Yeah.
The first couple of times, you know.
You know the severity of it. Like I couldn't even wrap my head around it. I tried, like I said, I went away to Holland. I tried so hard to learn language, like just to be polite, just to say, like, oh no, it's okay, don't bother going through the trouble. Like they would try and like cook for us, but we would already had a meal before we went back to the host family's place, and be like, no, it's okay, honestly. But I felt rude just going in English. I'm visiting them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even trying to do that, I struggled so much. I'm lucky that the people that we stayed with had a young son who spoke perfect English. Like he would come to England and you would just be like, oh, he's just got an accent. He's lived here his whole life, but he's just got an accent. And he would speak to his parents and just go, oh, they mean this. And obviously he'd speak Dutch to them. And I'll just be like, I can't wrap my head around the fact that someone can learn another language. And I think it does go back to the whole thing of we are sort of selfish in a way of not learning other people's languages as a kid.
Yeah, I think it's also like the entitlement of living in a country where you can pretty much go anywhere and people will know English because the big superpower of the world is America in the Western world. So everyone speaks English, but it does breed an air of ignorance. It's like people don't really understand what it takes to learn another language, and not
Yeah.
just learn another language, but be able to speak to someone in a way where, you know, you can really feel what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because I can speak Italian in a way where I sound like a robot.
I was going to say, 'cause
sound
it's,
like
it's a
Google
little
Translate.
bit, yeah,
like,
it's a little bit
I'm
of like
breaking down words.
yeah, the terms of it, isn't it?
Whereas
yeah.
getting to the point where you can actually speak and you can feel the emotion of what they're saying, and they're saying it from the heart. That's like, you know, it's a special thing to get to that point. It's not just being fluent. You become a different person through that process, I think.
Yeah, you also got to learn the accents as well, because it's a lot of the ways you pronounce certain words as well.
Yeah. So like, the hardest thing was to roll my R's, but now
A lot
I
of
roll
people
them
struggle with
okay.
that, yeah.
Like, but then I find that speaking to English people and trying to speak to them and explain Italian to them, I don't roll my R's because I don't want to make them feel weird, if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I will make an Italian phrase English for them, and I shouldn't really do that. I should just be like, you know, it is this way, and this is the way the Italians would say it, and you have to
Yeah.
move your mouth differently and roll your R's. You know, that's how it is.
No, definitely. Like, what do you reckon it is then? Do you reckon it's you're worried about maybe sounding pretentious, or is it because you're like, I don't want to make it too over the top for them, so you try and almost dull it down a little bit to make people understand a bit more?
Yeah, a
or-
bit of that. Like, I want to kind of dull it down, and also like, I don't know. I feel like with English people, when you say things in a completely different sound, it throws them off, and they don't know
Yeah.
what to do with it. So like, a lot of English people, when they go to Italy, they'll say grazie, which makes me cringe. It's grazie.
Yeah.
It's grazie with like a, and it's you spell the whole word out, because that's what the Italians do. They don't cut anything off. You spell every single letter in a word.
Yeah.
But I hear people saying grazie. It just makes me, you know.
I think
but
that's
what people do, because they're speaking it in their own tongue. They're not trying to speak it in an Italian tongue, or they just don't know it. You know, they don't know how to. So
I think it's also depending on where you come from in England, you pronounce it like people from, like, I say London, I don't mean like Chelsea, I don't mean West London, I mean East London, because obviously that's where I've grown up. You just don't pronounce hardly any words, any letters in your in your words. I said Harold
just
Hill.
grunt.
I said Harold Hill earlier, and I went Harold Hill. Like,
we don't. Yeah, we round off words in a way that there's no sharpness to them anymore.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's almost like you're butchering your own language. Like, I
Yeah.
do it all the time. I work in like talking to customers like 24/7, and this is kind of my phone voice.
Yeah,
I sound worse in person, so like if you were to meet me, you would go, "What the
Jack would be
hell?"
like, "Rah, rah, rah."
Yeah, I sound like an absolute. I'll just butcher my own language. It's terrible.
Alright, mate, how you doing?
Yeah. All right, Marco, what's going on, Marco? You all right?
Yeah.
I've never said mucker in a sentence before.
Mucker, the old English
Yeah,
gangster, like
that's bow days. Yeah.
bow. If you were born within the sound of the bow bells,
That's it, mate.
you're
You-
a cockney.
That's
what they
it.
say.
That is bang on, mate. If you can hear the bells of bow ring when you're born, you're an official cockney.
When I was younger, I used to try and put on an East London accent to act hard around my mates.
Yeah, I think everyone grew up with like
Everyone-
separate
Especially
things.
coming from Dagenham. You alright, mate? How you doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
alright, yeah. Now I hear people speak like that. I think, oh, so, like, why are you speaking like that?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. To be fair, like you do, like even I grew up a little bit with it, but like my cousin was a West Ham supporter, so went to some of the games. I had friends like from, well, I'd say East London, but they're not really. They're from Essex, because that's where I grew up in. I hate to admit it, but I've got people watching this now. I guarantee they're going to go, "Knew it." He was lying to me for ages. Like he never actually like grew up in Bow or any. To be fair, I'd normally just say, "No, Redbridge, mate. No, Dagenham for me. Nowhere near Essex. No." But no,
Well,
I just
Dagenham
come.
is Essex in a way, but
It
it's
is.
on the border, isn't
It's
it?
a London borough, so you get away
Yeah.
with calling it. You
Yeah.
get away from being Essex. But
Yeah, like on the postcode when I grew up, it said Dagenham, Essex, but
Yeah.
then it was like London Borough of Barking and Dagenham, and
yeah,
it always confused me. I didn't really quite know if I
that
was
should
Essex
get
or
out.
not,
If you live in Dagenham, that should get out.
Yeah.
You can get away with saying you're not from Essex.
yeah.
That's how
It's
it's
not
ruined
quite
it for everyone.
Brentwood, yeah.
No, exactly. It's how it's ruined it for everyone, mate. But yeah, no, I find that really interesting. With, it's always baffled me, different languages. Always, just knowing someone could actually learn something like that. I think it's because I was quite a practical learner, like, and I'm not
Yeah, I
really
was
one
the
to
same.
listen to stuff. I
Like
like
doing
watching
things,
stuff. Yeah. doing stuff like that. So I think that's why I find it so difficult. I'm very hands-on when it comes to learning something. You obviously can't be hands-on with words unless you're writing them down. And even then, you're not really learning to speak it. You're not learning to speak. You're learning to write it. And it's different.
You know what I found was really useful? Duolingo. And there's a way in which if you don't want to type everything out, you can actually voice note it, and that will give you the answer. And obviously sometimes there'll be little mistakes in which like maybe your pronunciation was off, or maybe the microphone didn't hear you properly and you have to like tweak it. But you can essentially go through a whole lesson and translate it yourself just through speaking. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Don't do that as much as I'd like to. I had like a streak of like 200 days or something. Where I've done it every single day. Yeah.
Whoa. But
I haven't been on it as much recently. It's kind of like I'll do it like a couple of times a week or something. But and even that, like, it's a whole with Duolingo. It's like the maintenance. You realize how much maintenance goes on, and not just learning a language, but remembering what you've been taught or what you're learning. Because there'll be on Duolingo, you'll like say fill up the circle, so it's full, and you've learned that lesson. But after about 2 weeks, it cracks, and you have to relearn it. And you'll have, say you've done like 50 lessons. Yeah. By the time you've done all those 50 lessons, probably like 20 of them would have cracked, and you have to go back and learn them all again.
Oh, okay. So you never really finish even doing one that you completed. It's so hard to keep up with it. Like, I spent most of my time now relearning what I've already learned, not so much learning new things. And I feel like for me to progress, I need to spend more time and getting past the maintenance phase and just spending a lot more time learning new things. But then that takes more time because the more you learn, the more you have to maintain, and it's just so much. And it becomes like a full job, I suppose, doesn't it?
It's a lot. So like for me, I found it better with like immersion, like being in the country and like speaking to a family or friends and being subjected to it and watching films in Italian, like with no subtitles, just picking up on what they were saying based off of how like the context they were in, and piecing it together. And there was a really funny program on Amazon called LOL, and it's like it's called Chi ride è fuori, which means if you laugh, you're out.
Okay,
and it's these comedians in a room. I forget how many there are, like 8 or 10 of them. Italian comedians. They're all stuck in a room, and they've got 6 hours together, and they're not allowed to laugh, and 2 strikes, you're out. And they're all trying to make each other laugh with like physical comedy and like really dry comedy. Yeah, and it's hilarious. And I'm like standing there, and I don't understand half what they're saying, but I'm laughing. Just and because, I'm picking up on what they're saying just through what they're doing, you know. So that's a really good way of learning. Yeah,
no, I like that stuff like that. To be fair, that's a good way to sort of learn something. If you're not picking it up in a certain way, it's a change of sort of aspect of how you're approaching it, I suppose. So
I've been listening to a lot of Italian rap in the car, and that's a really good way to learn because it's not like a translation book in which like everything's spoken in monotone. Yeah. Like he's speaking it really fast with loads of aggression or loads of emotion or whatever he's talking about or singing about. So I'm picking up on real authentic Italian. Yeah. In a way that's engaging. So that's pretty cool as well. It's a guy called Fedez. He's really famous in Italy. Really good music.
I was going to say, because rap nowadays is absolutely terrible. Even Eminem bringing out his stuff. It's getting a bit dry, to be honest, but that's for another whole podcast, to be fair. Like, completely different.
The music
podcast.
Industry.
Yeah, man.
That would be cool if we got someone on here who's like a rapper or someone.
Yeah, that would be very good. Maybe someone who's listening might be one. Yeah. Proper famous, and they'll get in contact with us and go, yep, let's have a chat. That'd be quite nice. Saves us running after people.
I'm sure I'll be able to find someone or go on Instagram and start reaching out to people. That'd be pretty cool. I actually had someone, he was on like Radio 1, you know, like Charlie Sloth.
Oh, right.
I went to school with him, and he was on that.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't know, I haven't heard much of him since, because that was a good few years ago, but he kind of got semi-famous off the back of that.
Oh, fair enough.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
But like the things they were rapping out, I didn't really agree with. It was just a bit like over the top, sort of, I don't know, part of that kind of Dagenham gang culture.
Yeah, you do get lost in it a little bit, like, especially stuff if he's rapping about like political stuff, like it doesn't sound like it's a rap if it's
more like tying people up and robbing their weed room. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's another one as well. Like
just like kind of glorifying crime, you know. But at the same time, like, no, I to be fair, I can't justify it. That's just not me. Like, I'm just not that person. Like some people really really get into that kind of stuff.
Some people, it's just the way they say stuff. So even if it's like aggressive like that, like I grew up listening to horrible stuff. I mean, Eminem's early stuff was absolutely like Purple
Yeah, but
Pills.
it's Eminem.
Yeah, I know
You
it's
know,
like
yeah.
a staple, like it's a household name and everything like that. But even like Purple Pills was absolutely like it's just about doing drugs, and you're like, you're not, especially when you're younger, you don't really listen to it. It's the tone in which they say stuff. It gets you pumped up, like even
the
grime.
sounds in that, like in the Purple Hills song. I remember listening to that like really young and just being so captivated by.
Well, funny you say so.
type, the way you
Purple
done it, yeah.
Hills was the good version of Purple Pills. I didn't know it was an actual.
So he actually done Purple Pills.
Purple
first,
Pills is just like outward, like so he covers up a few
Explicit.
words. Yeah, he covers up a
Yeah.
few words with Purple Hills instead of Purple Pills, so it could play on the radio.
Yeah.
But only certain radio stations would play it, like Pirate
Yeah, yeah.
FM and stuff like that. But Purple Pills was like the proper nitty gritty, talking about actual doing hard drugs and stuff. And I grew up listening to that.
Yeah,
And my
we
mum
were
didn't
all
know.
really young. Like,
Yeah.
And parents aren't going to listen to the music that is just going
You
too
got
fast.
earphones
Like,
in, you got earphones in anyway, so God knows, like, I ain't
Yeah.
got a clue.
Yeah, I listen
So-
to all kinds of stuff. Like,
Like, oh my God, some of Eminem's stuff is absolutely, like, insane.
mm.
If you, I won't even say what's insane, like, it's proper, like, it's fucked
Yeah.
up, man. Like, proper bad.
But it's like, it's Eminem, and it's
Yeah.
like, he could get away with basically saying anything because you know he's joking, or if he isn't joking, like,
Well, the whole song
It's
stands
Eminem,
about that. Yeah, like even the whole song stands about how people take him the complete wrong way. Like you could listen to it and go, "It's such a dark song." It's talking about how he's murdering his girlfriend who's pregnant with his kid. And you're like, "What?" But really and truthfully, it's saying no. Everyone's taking songs too bloody literal.
yeah.
I don't do drugs like I say I do. I don't cut myself and all this stuff like I
Yeah.
say I do in
To
my
be fair, he
songs.
did do a lot of, like, the whole album Relapse was after he come off of drugs, and
Yeah,
so he did do a lot of those things.
yeah. Don't get
So,
me wrong. He would have
Like
done.
Purple Pills, he was definitely taking pills. Like,
Mate,
I remember him
100%.
talking about it when he done like the Eminem show. He was on stage, and to get on stage, he would take a lot of drugs to get on stage.
To give himself a little bit of the boost.
And that's part of that
do it.
culture.
Yeah,
to,
definitely.
To do that, and it's not right. And obviously, it's a massive problem. A lot of people, a lot of rappers, even recently, have overdosed. Some like
Yeah.
big rappers, I hear him on the radio all the time.
Well, Juice WRLD's
Juice
the most
WRLD, yeah.
recent one.
And who's his friend? There was another guy, XX Temptation or something like that.
Mm.
Tenation. I forget the name because it's not
Yeah,
really my
it's-
world, but
It's not really, it's not pronounced the way it's written. So yeah, I
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
confusion. Like, I
Yeah.
know what you mean. But
it's crazy, and that is that culture. And before it was like rock star culture. Now it's rap. It's in the rap world as well. So they're like the rock stars of their time.
yeah,
now.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's definitely a different type of culture. I mean, I grew up with well, that's how I grew up with. He was in school in the last year, and he got into doing rap. I only just found it out recently, funny enough. This fella called Tom who used to go to my school. He got transferred from, I think it was Hackney to Bower Park, where I used to go, and he was a really nice fella, to be fair. Really nice. Now he's doing rap and everything. He's doing quite well, and I ain't spoke to him bloody God knows how long, and I wasn't really
Drop him a
very.
message, get him on in.
This is the thing. I wasn't very close to him, so I felt like me dropping him a message.
Some people need a platform. Like a lot of people want a platform.
He's
you
got,
know?
to be fair, he's got a decent platform now. So obviously, if he come on, that'll be
It
brilliant.
gives people
Because
an opportunity to speak their piece, like
on a separate,
on a
different.
separate thing. And I feel like with a place like this, people are gonna come on here and say things they wouldn't say maybe on their own Instagram stories
to their
or on
pals
their own,
and all that stuff.
yeah, like they're gonna come on here and really speak, and it's nice for people to be able to do that, to have a place and just kind of go, all right, this is my story. you
Yeah,
know?
it's a different world altogether. Like you were talking about how you're not really part of the rap world or anything like that. You don't really get involved in it. You don't listen to much of the new stuff that comes out or anything
Yeah, I
like
feel like
that.
an old man. Like I feel 10 years behind.
Oh, but you know what? This is the thing. I think it's so
But now
much.
I'm into Italian rap, so I don't really.
Yeah, but if I'm being honest, I'm not a fan of what comes out now. But back in the day, rap was top. Like
I think
would.
because we were young. Like,
Yeah, maybe it's a little
Not
bit of
that we're not
nostalgia.
young
Nostalgia
now, but-
there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nostalgia. Like when you're a teenager and you're listening to those particular songs,
Yeah,
that's your time when everything sounds great.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you take those memories with you, and that's like, oh, that was back in the day, But new
Yeah.
teenagers going through the same thing now, and everything sounds great to them. And
That's
yeah.
a good point. Like perspective's a massive thing. Like you know what I watched. You remember? Did you ever watch Drop Dead Fred
no,
as a kid? Oh mate,
I might have done, but I can't remember.
It's
it.
basically about a girl who has an imaginary friend who makes her do bad stuff, and he reappears and all this stuff. Like is a great kids film. Such a good kids film. I remember watching it when I was growing up. I watched it the other day, and when I say like probably about 2 weeks ago, it's about a girl who's basically suffering from some type of mental illness. When you really look at it, I'm like, what the. I watched this as a kid, so innocent, and now I'm watching it now. I'm like, no, she's got problems.
You're exposed to quite a lot as a kid.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of things
but
that
it's all
yeah,
over your head, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you watch. Even so, I had a baby. Like, my cousin was a baby about maybe 4 years ago, watching baby TV with him, like the actual channel baby TV, and the double entendres in that are ridiculous. Like, they know they're doing it. Like, they do stuff in a certain way that if parents are watching, they go, what are they doing in front of my kid? And then the kid's just watching like, oh, you won't even remember this tomorrow. Like,
yeah, I remember like I was watching Cartoon Network as a kid, and my mum heard some of the things that the characters were saying, and she was like, "You can't watch this anymore." Like
it's Cartoon Network as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I remember one thing that stood out to me was there was this like anime thing, and the guy was like, "You got spunk, kid." It was like something like that, and I was like, it went completely over my head. I didn't know what spunk was. And she was like, "It just said spunk on the TV." Like, I was like 6 or 7, and I was like, "Yeah, he's just saying that you know, she's doing good. Like she's got something about her." Yeah. But I didn't realize that there's a lot of different ways you can say that, and that's not the right way to say that on a kids show.
You could have chosen any other word to say, but you chose
I
that
feel
because
like Cartoon Network and things like that, they tried to see what they could get away with, and there was like a lot of adult humor in there, so that when adults were watching with their kids, they would get it and laugh, and the kids would just be silent. Like the
kids would laugh at whatever was being said, and the adults were laughing about what was actually being shown. Like,
it's naughty, really. Like,
I would do it though. I'm definitely
if
that
you was
person.
A writer on Cartoon
if
Network,
I was a writer on Cartoon Network, I would try and get away with it as much as I possibly could. I would absolutely rag that just as far as I could push above out. Definitely, I'll get called into the managers.
Like SpongeBob, there was loads of things in that.
Oh loads absolutely, loads of stuff in that.
Loads
even
of
how cynical.
References, like
I mean something as simple as how cynical Squidward was, and then we're growing up and I'm like, I'm Squidward. What the fuck? Why am I so cynical about everything?
That is
like,
bang on.
Like, as a kid, you're SpongeBob and you're all like chirpy, or even you're Patrick and you're a bit dopey or whatever. And then you grow up and you're like, nope, I'm probably the most hated character in the whole thing. Like watching this when I was like, you know what I mean? It's so different, man. It's so different. But
that's so funny.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a good note to wrap it up on. I think.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. But yeah.
Quality, man. So Squidward, thank you. Thank you as always. Really
pleasure.
good podcast. Obviously, we didn't get to video it, but I've got a good feeling that the audio will just be something that everyone will listen to. And
I think I'm kind of lucky. We're kind of lucky. Sorry, that it's happened in the 3rd episode, just because you got a sense of the feel of both of us and what we're about, and sort of how we look anyway. So. I think it might be a good little taster for something to when we're opening up on Spotify. I think the plan is going forward is opening up on YouTube first of all, seeing how that goes, and then we have to create certain platforms to be able to go onto Spotify, and that's something for later down the line. But I mean, if this sort of goes well and we upload it with just the logo, and then obviously us just talking, see how the response is from that, it could dictate sort of how we record from here on out.
Yeah, we'll be catching up to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, oh mate, that's a dream.
All day, all night.
Yeah, that's a dream.
Little intro like that.
Yeah, but so the plan is for the next few upcoming episodes is to try and get someone on. We're trying to basically get
a couple of really cool people we're gonna have on here.
Yeah, and planning for exactly. Yeah. So I'm really excited to get the next 2 on. That's basically the plan, and then obviously see him dictating what you guys enjoy, and we'll go from there basically.
Yeah, quality, man.
All right, perfect.
All right, it's been a pleasure, Jack.